Okay, welcome back to the complete guide to starting on Sorare. This is going to be part 3 today. We're going to be looking at different budget tiers, what you should do if you have below £200, 200 to £500 and above £500. So, if you haven't seen the other episodes, I'd suggest go watching them. But if you haven't, if you want to sign up to Sorare, use someone's affiliate link. Mine will be in the description. It will help you, it will help me. Good for everyone, really. So, let's get into it. If you are starting with below £200, it's going to be really tricky to compete in SO5, the game that actually plays. Does that mean that you can't get involved in Sorare? I don't think it does. I think if you're starting on that kind of tier budget, you need to start looking at playing the market, trading cards, flipping them, looking at in-demand cards, learning different trends in the market, and just profiting off of them at the end of the day, and slowly but surely building your ETH up until you have enough to compete. So, how can you do this? My first advice would be kind of looking at rare cards. I think rare cards are easier to flip than limited cards. So if you look at rare cards, they're the red ones, limited are the yellow ones. So what kind of players can you look to do this with? I mean, any at the end of the day. What you are looking for is someone that's undervalued for particular reasons. This could be illness, this could be injury, this could be poor form. But at the end of the day, it's just, using your own football knowledge. An example that I was looking at before, I know this because I own this player, but Vertonghen was injured randomly, but only for a short time period. So he missed out for about 5 games where, a lot of people wouldn't have understand why he was off or when he was coming back. But when he does come back, he puts good scores in. So what you could do is buy him, whilst everyone was panic sell him, hold him for that short amount of time period. And then when he's playing again, sell him, make the profit, cash in. Why this doesn't really work with some limited cards is that they're always going to be auctioned off. So, if you are looking to buy that player, you're going to just be picking them up off the auction. There's even times for me where I could have picked them up off the auction or the buy now for the same price, and I went for the auction. It does happen, so just be aware of that. If you want to flip limited cards, or it is the only kind of option, you really have to focus on the top tier cards. Someone like Wirtz came out today, Florian Wirtz of Bayer Leverkusen, really high rated, really in demand player. He's only 18 and putting up good scores already. But the reason why he is in demand, the reason why he is good for an opportunity like any other card is on the game, is because as soon as he's released, they're knocking out so many at one time that you can really just dip below the price. So if you look on this kind of screen, you can see in the space of a couple of hours, it went from 170, 173, 187 at one point, and someone got a nice deal here for 150 quid, and it's like, he could have got that, instantly put it up for 170, and the next guy probably would have bought that card rather than going to the auction. It would just save him time, you get a lower number. There are little things like that where you can just flip cards on the sly. Like I said, know the risks, and the key to this is knowing your market. You have to understand, your niche, and try and pick cards on the off season, like when people aren't looking at them. One key example for this for me was right when I began. I didn't have enough to make a good team. So in the beginning, I was just looking at flipping cards, and I was focusing on super rare goalkeepers because no one's really looking at them. They're really niche. They were similar cards to the rare price, and I thought you might as well look at the super rares. I picked up one for £400. Really went over my budget for it because I knew it was like £800. I even celebrated when I won the auction. I couldn't believe no one outbid me. I put it up for £800, what I thought it was worth. Someone offered me £700 of players within a day, and I thought, do you know what? Yes, I'm losing £100 of equity, but the liquidity I get from it is, more valuable to me when I was starting off, as a low budget user. So, I flipped that card eventually, and it just grew from there. So, you definitely still can do it. It's a thriving company. It's a thriving platform. NFTs are, booming at this moment. So, I would really advise that, getting in early, learning the markets. It will be so beneficial long term when either you can put more money in or you've earned enough money to compete. So, what is the next tier? It's going to be 250 or 200 to £500, where I think you can start competing. And what's really going to set you apart as to what you should be doing is what leagues and what divisions you should be playing in. In my last episode, I said try and focus on one kind of league, and I still think that's obviously true, but which league? So you've got all your different kind of leagues here, and the best one, without doubt at the moment, is Global All-Stars D4. The reason for that is that you get these thresholds. So basically, if you score over 250 points, you get £53 twice weekly, right? And when you can put a team up for £300, you can earn your team back in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Realistically, it'd be a little bit longer because you might have a DMP or stuff. But if you do your research, you can do that. the big thing I want everyone to be aware of is that it's probably coming to an end. This happy period where they're giving out this much money, it is not sustainable. I can see why they're trying to cut back on it. And, you know, they said it's happening at the end of summer. It still hasn't happened yet. It might not happen, but, you know, more than likely they're switching to a progressive system where they'll slightly reduce the rewards and make it a 3-month system. You have to decide on your budget tier, on your kind of love for the game. Are you willing to wait 3 months to get your rewards? You know, a lot of low budget users and new users won't want to wait that long. I know it's a short time period, but, you know, in the NFT space, in the, you know, new platform space, you really want to just, you know, see how you're progressing at the time, and it can be difficult. So look how the thresholds are doing. Try and, you know, gauge what they're like. If you really can't find any information on whether they're good value or not, you know, just leave a comment. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But overall, if you don't want to compete for the thresholds, I really think D5 with the limited cards is a really viable option. So don't read into it too much at the moment because it's international break, so there's not many games on, so rewards are a lot lower. But when I was looking at kind of the rewards, you've got to remember you can make a limited team for 10% of the value of a rare team. And the difference in prizes really aren't that much. So last week when I was competing, you could get 0.25 ETH for winning D4 or 0.2 ETH for winning D5. And it's like, that's nowhere near 10% of the value. If it starts to get closer to 10% of the value of winning, and, you know, this stretches down through all the podiums really, and it's not something other people are talking about. I don't really understand why people are talking about it. Like, everyone seems to think rare cards are the only way to compete on this game, only way to make money, but in my eyes, limited cards are just the low budget option of rare cards. Like, yes, rare cards have a little bit more utility. They can go into different leagues above, they can go into D3 and the rest of it, but for me, when you're competing on a low budget, D3 is not an option. For me, I've got about £7,000, £6,000 worth of players on this game, and I still can't compete in D3. So, you know, for me, if you want to get involved, look at the thresholds, see if they're viable, and if they're gone, focus on D5. I really think it's an undervalued area at the moment. Obviously, there's more users that competing in D4 than there are D5 at the moment, which will obviously be self-correcting the more users that join. You know, but at the moment, the probabilities of winning a card in D5 are actually better than D4. And as that changes with time, do the quick maths. You can see the number of people competing here. You can see how many prizes it stretches out to. They're pretty similar in terms of the reward structures for D4 and D5. So just have a look and see what you think at the time, because look, I'm trying to make these videos so they can be watched, you know, 6 months down the line. I don't need to keep making new ones. So yeah, just see how that goes. The next budget tier is £500 to £1,000, and at this stage, you can have the best of both worlds. The easy solution is to do Global D4 All-Star and Global D5 All-Star. So you have a limited team and you have a rare team. Try and get a sub for each player as well. That will stop you panicking if someone goes into an injury or is off with COVID, whatever reason they might not play. And you've got to remember, what a lot of people forget on this game is when your player scores well, you still go up in value whether he's in your team or not. Obviously, you want him in your team earning rewards, but it's not the be-all, end-all if he's not. So just be aware of that. And, you know, how do you go about finding players? I mean, I spoke about it before, but I haven't gone specifics into it. So pull up Sorare Data, the most valuable page there is, and just filter by whatever league you're trying to have a niche in. I would not compete in the Asian League. It was a kind of mistake I made, I think, early on. It was the advice that I got given, and the reason for that is they're much cheaper, and they are much cheaper. But when you're competing in Global All-Stars, there's not a lot of Asian information about, so you get a lot of DMPs, like injuries you don't know about, rotation you didn't know about. So try and focus on the European leagues or a language that you speak in, and, you know, try and keep it very specific into, you know, if you are competing in Challenger Europe, right, stay within the Challenger Europe. So when you do grow your club, it's very easy to do, and you don't need to sell players and all the rest of it. So, you know, when you're looking at players, I like to filter by score. This will give you a good idea of what they average. You can go through and just kind of look at all the different scores. So on the right here, you'll have the ETH value. I think you can actually change it to GBP, but, you know, I value everything in ETH. So you just scroll down, you can keep going, looking through all of these until you find kind of a gap where it's like, why is that player so undervalued compared to the rest of them? So 101, 174, 86, like that's a bit low. Okay, he's injured, Ao Tanaka, right, don't want him. just going down. 0.66, what's he doing? He's a defender, he's starting. Has he recently just got an injury? You know, he's scoring quite well. So it's little things like that where it's like you can really home in and just, you know, go through thousands and thousands of players until you find someone that no one's looking at. It's not an efficient market, you know, it's just kind of users doing it. It's not all algorithms and computers. So there's definitely like deals to be had for similar value. And obviously you would be a bit more specific, you go into your league. But, you know, it works different for different people. It's a game at the end of the day. So I don't enjoy Challenger Europe because I don't watch any Challenger Europe, you know, outside of teams in the game. Sorry, I don't watch any Challenger Europe, but I watch a lot of Champion Europe. I watch Serie A, I watch the Bundesliga. So for me, I'm willing to pay a slightly higher price for more enjoyment. But again, it's all up to you at the end of the day. So if you filter by that, you can also filter by price. And you can basically work your way up the list in a similar way or work your way down the list. So once you've gone past all the no sales, there are a lot of them at the moment, but you can just pick out, looking at average scores and think, you know, there will be dips where it's like, okay, 1 ETH for a 60 average player, half an ETH for a 55 average player. And then you'll be like, okay, well, this player averages 55. He's in a good league. He's starting, you know, how is he a bit lower? And basically, I found great success in just buying those players, holding on to them. They keep scoring to their average, sometimes above average, and you can profit off them or just stick them in your team and keep earning and churning rewards out. So overall, that's kind of how I would do it if I was starting off again today. If you do have any questions, please put them in the comments. I try and help as much as I can. I know it's difficult and like all you want to do is learn information. So go through that. I want to thank everyone so much for all the support again recently. I hit 1,000 views on one of my videos, which I didn't think I'd ever do really. You know, I was mainly just putting out videos for myself at the start, and now I'm doing it for other people, trying to help other people. And just to conclude, so below £200, below £250, try and trade your way up to a better value, just churn out ETH or churn out pounds, however you prefer it. 500 to 200 to £500, you're probably looking at either the rare teams or what I'd suggest is a limited team or two. It depends how competitive you are. Look at your average scores, put them on like an Excel spreadsheet, put them on paper and put them, you know, if they performed really well this week, 10% above their average, where would I have finished? Would have I won a card? Would have I got on the podiums? And then £500 to £1,000, you need to be buying a rare team. You need to be buying a limited team as well, completing in Global All-Stars. When you're completing in Global All-Stars, still try and keep it specific to one league. Try and keep it specific to Challenger Europe or Champion Europe or the MLS or Asia if you really fancy it and you know a little bit about it, or you're prepared for, you know, the DMPs and the rest of it. You get the price cuts. But, you know, overall, have fun with it. It is a game at the end of the day. If you need any more information, I'll try and help out in the comments. Thank you so much. And yeah, all the best to you. Cheers.